Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast Special Edition show where I do my 2026 Major League Baseball season predictions. How I normally do it is I do the awards, I don't do the awards. I do the standings and then the postseason, then the awards, and then I do both predictions, and then I go into the betting stuff, and that's how it'll go. I usually do superlatives, but like that got harder over the years, so I like how I do it now. So we'll start with the standings, and we'll begin with the American League East. I have winning the division at 94-68. The Toronto Blue Jays. They won it last year. I think they're going to win it again. To me, this came down to health. Trey Savage, I think, has really emerged as a guy in the rotation. He's not going to be there for opening day, but he'll be back soon. In the rest of the rotation is really good. Cease, Gossman, Bieber, Scherzer, Jeff Hoffman's your closer. Loaded lineup, of course, with Vlad Guerrero Jr. They lose Bo Bichette, and I think that's my biggest reservation for the Blue Jays. I think that the loss of Bo Bichette, I think, could hurt them in the long run if they don't win the division. I think that absence could be a notable one. In second place in the division, and I have getting the second wild card in the American League, the New York Yankees at 90-72. You know how I said I think this comes down to health? They don't have Garrett Cole and Carlos Rodon back yet, and then once they get those guys back, they'll be right there in Toronto. And if, say, Garrett Cole started the year, then they would have probably been my pick to win the division. Garrett Cole is that good and that important to the Yankees, but they still have a decent rotation, a better one than given credit for. Max Fried had a great year last year. Cam Schlittler really emerged for them, especially in that playoff game against the Red Sox. Luis Heel was the rookie of the year. Ryan Weathers has shown flashes. Their bullpen is a big weakness, in my opinion, and that could derail them. But I do trust their closer, David Bendard, and they got Camilo Duval from the Giants last year. He's good. But they lost a lot of guys from that unit. Like, they lost Luke Weaver. They lost, I know Devin Williams stunk last year, so it's kind of like addition by subtraction in a way. But they lost him. They lost Jonathan Loáisiga. Like, they lost a lot of guys that have been good for them in the past, over the past few years, and they couldn't afford to keep them. But they always have the trade deadline to address this kinds of stuff. And of course, they have the best player in the American League on their team in Aaron Judge, who is the do-it-all player for them, except for pitching. And Giancarlo Stanton's still there. Trent Grisham came back. Cody Bellinger's obviously back. Jose Caballero is now their shortstop over Anthony Volpe, which is interesting. We'll see how Ryan McMahon does at third base. He kind of stunk for them as an acquisition. Jazz Chisholm's in a contract year. He'll play well, you would think. In third place in the division, I have the record of 88-74 and getting the third wild card in the American League, the Boston Red Sox. This Red Sox team is very good. They can absolutely win the division. They have a great rotation led by Garrett Crochet and Ranger Suarez. Aroldis Chapman's their closer, but he's old. He's in his late 30s. Like, do we trust him? Garrett Whitlock's a good reliever. He scares me more than Chapman if you're an opponent. They get Wilson Contreras from the Cardinals to play first base. Marcelo Meyer has to be better for them. Trevor Story's coming off a good year. They like their outfield. Roman Anthony, we saw him on Team USA. He's a good up-and-coming player. Masataka Yoshida, they're trying to get rid of. It's probably going to be like their Nicholas Castellanos situation, like how the Phillies dealt with that. In fourth place in the division, I have with 84-78 the Baltimore Orioles. A lot of people think that this could be a division winner. I'm not one of them. My issue for them is the fact that a lot of their youth has not panned out yet. Like Colton Cowser took a step back last year. They got Blaze Alexander from the Diamondbacks. He's not shown much. Taylor Ward's coming off a career year. Heston Kjerstad is buried on this team. Jackson Holiday is not starting for them, which tells you what you need to know. Adley Rutschman's coming off a down year. There's a lot of their young players that they thought that this was the next Astros. They're not the next Astros. And plus, they don't have a bona fide ace in the rotation. Trevor Rogers had a hot couple weeks to finish the year. Cal Bradish has shown flashes. Shane Baz has not lived up to what he's been traded for in the past with both the Rays and the Orioles. So, meaning like what the Orioles gave up for him, the Rays, that's not what he's pitched up to. So, again, that's like paying for future projection, not past performance. So, I have a lot of issues with the Orioles. I know they signed Pete Alonso. That's a big deal for them. And then Ryan Mountcastle's somebody that's buried on this. They have a lot of guys. They have too many guys. And they need to make like a 3-for-1 trade for a pitcher. But the question is, who's that pitcher? There's no star ace on the trade market. I mean, Schoolbold's not getting dealt. I mean, people are talking about Paul Skeens, but I don't think Paul Skeens is going to be dealt. Paul Skeens is on you trade your prospects for, not active players for, because Pittsburgh's trying to rebuild. So the Orioles, I just think they're kind of stuck. And in the cellar of this division, 72-90 to Tampa Bay Rays. Is this the best last place team in baseball? I would say yes. And the only one you can make a case for is who I have finishing last in the NL Central, which we'll get to. But they don't have a standout ace. Shane McClanahan was that, but like he's been dealing with some injuries and stuff. Drew Rasmussen's quietly been really good. That could be a trade guy. So that's someone that could be traded in the middle of the year. That could be an Oriole. Their bullpen has guys that really stand out. Yandris Gomez has had moments. Who's their closer? Griffin Jacks, probably. Gavin Lux is on this team now. Junior Caminero put up some good numbers. Cedric Mullins, I think, is a guy that's going to be traded. You see him with Yandy Diaz. Okay, the AL Central, I've winning the division at 96-66. The Detroit Tigers. This Tigers team's really good. A lot of people thought before the offseason this was going to blow up and they were going to trade Skubal and start a rebuilding project, but that wasn't the case. They kept Skubal and they signed Framber Valdez to go with Skubal and have a good top two in that rotation. Jack Flaherty, Casey Mize, and they bring back Justin Verlander, which is awesome. Kenley Jansen's in this bullpen. I do think they could use a closer upgrade. Kyle Finnegan, their current closer, but I think they can use an upgrade. Their offense is loaded. Riley Green, Kerry Carpenter, Kevin McGonigal is going to be their starting shortstop, which is awesome. Gleyber Torres is playing second base. Dylan Dingler in moments last year. Spencer Torkelson was the top draft pick. In second in division, I have at 86-76 the Kansas City Royals. I think the Royals are going to be much better than they were last year, and they're going to be closer to the team that made the playoffs 2 years ago than the team from last year. I do think this rotation is going to be better. Cole Reagans is going to have a better year. Seth Lugo pitched good for them 2 years ago. Michael Wacha in a big ballpark, I think, makes sense. Carlos Estevez is a really good closer. So they have a catcher thing here with Sal Perez and the guy that they like, the young catcher that I think is going to be a possible stud for them in Carter Jensen. So it's going to be interesting. And he's their top prospect right now. He's the number 18 overall prospect on MLB.com right now, so that's a little bit of a thing. But if they're bad, maybe they trade Perez to a contender. First base Vinny Pasquantino has shown flashes. Jonathan India they got from the Reds. Bobby Witt Jr. is a stud, as we know. Their outfield, I think, could be a little bit better. It's a lot of defense guys. And Starling Marte, he's a guy that's washed. So I think they're a great pitching team, but I think they're gonna have to make trades to improve their offense. In third division, I have a 74 and 88, the Cleveland Guardians. I don't think the Guardians are gonna be the same team in the past, and I think that Stephen Vogt's gonna experience something that he hasn't yet as a manager, and that's losing. Their rotation is not good outside of their top two. Slate's Ciccone, Diamondbacks cast off. Joey Cantillo, meh. Parker Messick, eh. Bibbe and Williams are good. Maybe they're traded. Their bullpen's still good. Hunter Gaddis, Cade Smith, Colby Allard's shown flashes. And their offense is a whole lot of Steven Kwan, Jose Ramirez, and blah. And that's unfortunate. And Rhys Hoskins, too. And if he's good, he might get traded. In fourth place in the division, I have 65 and 97, the Chicago White Sox. Yes, I do not have the White Sox in the cellar this year. I think they're going to show some improvement. Shane Smith made the All-Star team last year in their rotation. Their bullpen has some guys I think could be dealt, like Jordan Hicks and Sean Newcomb and Sir Anthony Dominguez. And then they signed Munetaka Murakami. I think he'll put up some numbers for them. Miguel Vargas they got in that trade with the Dodgers. Colson Montgomery was a good prospect. Los Angel Acuna they got from the Mets. Andrew Benintendi probably going to be traded. Austin Hayes probably going to be traded. But they do have some veterans in there, and they're going to be better than they've been in the past. I think it could dodge 100 losses. And in the cellar in this division, I have the record of 60 and 102 in the Minnesota Twins. I think this team is going to be awful. Their best starting pitcher's out for the year, Tommy John. And he'll be missed very much. And they will miss Pablo Lopez. They'll miss him. I mean, Simeon Woods Richardson they got in a trade with the Blue Jays. So they are relying on him to step up. Mick Abel, promising prospect. Bailey Ober. Some of these guys could be trade bait. Joe Ryan, I think they want to keep. They'll trade a lot of their bullpen guys. Cole Sands, Anthony Banda, Taylor Rogers will be traded. And their offense has a lot of just journeymen like Josh Bell. Royce Lewis was a highly touted prospect. He has not really put it together yet. Austin Martin they got in a trade. Trevor Lawrence is buried. Byron Buxton, is he finally going to get traded? Trevor Lawrence is another former top prospect. So this team is going to be hot garbage. And being in trade talks. The AL West, I have in first place in this division at 97 and 65, the Texas Rangers. I think this team is absolutely loaded. And they're poised to be awesome. They have a great, arguably the best 1-2 in the American League in Nathan Eovaldi and Jacob deGrom. I know Yankee fans will say, oh, Garrett Cole and Max Fried. Red Sox fans will say Garrett Crochet and Ranger Suarez. Mariner fans will say, pick two of our guys. But I think this is the best top two because Jacob deGrom, I really think, is back to the guy that he was on the Mets. And this is what this is all about. Oh, and Tiger fans have a right to say with Skubal and Framber Valdez. Absolutely. Tiger fans have a right to say that too. So, and then Eovaldi is emerged into a stud. It took him a while to become that. And then Mackenzie Gore is a great trade ad for them. Jack Leiter and Kumar Rocker really need to step it up in the back of the rotation. Jordan Montgomery, will he be back this year? I feel like he's always injured. But he's supposed to be coming back. Maybe that's a trade bait to improve their bullpen. They could trade him anywhere, really. Maybe it's like a win now team you don't see win now teams trade with each other very often with surplus. That happens more often in the off season than during the season. But you never know. And then their bullpen's really good. Chris Martin, Robert Garcia, Jacob Junis. They have a good catcher platoon. Kyle Higioka, the former Yankee, and Danny Jansen, the former Blue Jay. And there's just a loaded team. Josh Smith and Ezekiel Duran at second. Either of those guys could start for them. Jake Berger, Josh Jung, obviously, Corey Seager, Wyatt Langford, Evan Carter, Brandon Nimmo they got to play in the outfield. They traded Marcus Semien to open that second base spot up for those two younger players. And then Jock Peterson's their DH. Andrew McCutchen's on the bench for this team. But like I said, this team is absolutely loaded, and they should be the favorites in this division. In second place in this division, I have the record of 92-70, and I have them winning the first wild card, the Seattle Mariners. I do like this Mariners team, but I just think Texas has more potential. And the Mariners have the better rotation, arguably. And I say arguably because I'm very high on Texas's rotation. But they have a more proven rotation than Texas. I'll give them that. But yeah, Gilbert Wu, Kirby Castillo, Bryce Miller, Emerson Hancock is probably the best sixum in the sport. And then the bullpen loaded. Andres Munoz is their closer. Matt Barsh is decent. Yeah, this is one of the better bullpens in the game. Cal Raleigh, I mean, my biggest question with this team, is he going to repeat the year he had last year? Because I genuinely believe that if he didn't have that great year last year, they're not even in the playoffs. Maybe the last wild card, but they're probably not even in the playoffs if it wasn't for him. Because I there's a lot of question marks offensively on this team. Like, they got Brendan Donovan from the Cardinals. J.P. Crawford is hit or miss. Randy Arozarena, I like him more than most. Julio Rodriguez is a stud. He's their best player in reality. I mean, their best player last year was Cal Raleigh, but I think Julio Rodriguez has a higher ceiling. Luke Raley's playing right field for them. Their DH is Rob Refsnyder, so it's a lot of journeymen offensively, and I think that's why they won't win the division. They got to upgrade offensively. In third place in this division, I have the record of 78-84, the Athletics. I think this is going to be one of the bigger surprises in baseball this year. Granted, I still have them with the losing record. Luis Severino leads this rotation. Aaron Savali's a good pitcher. Their bullpen has some nice players. Ben Bowden, Mark Leiter Jr., JT Ginn, I think, has potential. Oh, it's Scott Barlow. Offensively, they have a chance to be good. Jeff McNeil's on this team now from the Mets. Nick Kurtz was the Rookie of the Year. Shane Langoliers is a good catcher. They have Max Muncy on this team now from the Dodgers. Jacob Wilson's a good player. Tyler Soderstrom's good. This is, I think, the only question marks offensively for this team are in center and right. And then Brett Rooker's their DH. He's good too. But yeah, this is a good offensive team. Their pitching is why I don't have them higher, let alone in the postseason. Because if they had a good rotation, I would have considered them as a surprise wild card over Boston or the Yankees. Or even over Seattle in their own division. In In fourth place in the division, I have with the record of 77 and 85, the Houston Astros. I think the run for them is over. Their window has closed. They still have their cast of characters offensively with Altuve and Correa and Alvarez and Pena. Cam Smith showed flashes last year. Isaac Paredes is their DH. Christian Walker's a good player. Their catcher's Yanier Diaz. Their pitching has have some big names on it, but just haven't really produced. Like Lance McCullers Jr. and Christian Javier are still there. Hunter Brown's now their ace. He solidified that for them. And outside of those three, I have questions in their rotation. Their bullpen's not bad, actually. Josh Hader's their closer. I know Josh Hader really hasn't lived up to that contract. But he was good last year. He just stunk the year before. And he got hurt last year, too, which was unfortunate. That could be, like, if they're bad, that could be someone that could get traded. Maybe that's like a Yankee or something like that. If they're bad. Brian Abreu's a good reliever. Eniel Dos Santos has had moments. Roderi Munoz. Like, their bullpen's not bad. Their rotation stinks. And I do think there's a chance they're a seller. And at the seller of this division, I have the record of 65 and 97, the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. This team stinks. I mean, I thought about picking them to have a worse record than the Twins. But to me, there's guys on this team, kind of like Oakland the last couple years, that will make them have a better record than they have. And the other difference is that they have Mike Trout and the Twins don't. And outside of Trout, Young Makata, third base, blah. Adam Frazier's bounced around. Nolan Cheniel, they like. Zach Neto's good. Josh Lowe, I like. He's not bad. Joe Adell's had moments. Jorge Soler's a good player. He's a DH. He's going to get traded. Their bullpen, I do think that there's guys that are tradable. Jordan Romano, Kirby Yates, Drew Pomeranz. There's guys that they're going to get rid of at the deadline. And their rotation, you say Kikuchi, they overpaid to that contract. Jose Soriano's had moments. Rick Detmers, Grayson Rodriguez. I think Grayson Rodriguez has a chance to make a leap. I think if the Angels have multiple All-Stars, I think Grayson Rodriguez will join Mike Trout. And Alek Manoah, I think, has some potential too. There's a lot more potential here than there is with the Twins. And, of course, Trout. That's literally the only difference between those two teams. All right, the National League. The National League East, I'm winning the division with the record of 93 and 69. The Philadelphia Phillies. I think too many people are down on this team. I'm not. Their rotation, once Zach Wheeler comes back, is going to be very good with him and Chris Sanchez leading the way. They got Jesus Luzardo to replace Ranger Suarez. Aaron Nola is competent, but not what he used to be. Taijuan Walker, I like. And Andrew Painter's not bad. And Andrew Painter has a chance to be better, too. Their bullpen, I think, can be better. I think they're going to add some people at the deadline, but they do have, it is better than given credit for. Joan Durant's their closer, Brad Keller, Jose Alvarado, Tanner Banks, Zach Pop, Tim Meza. Like, there's guys that could get outs. But I do think they'll upgrade, too. But their offense, I think, is what people are sleeping on, and they have trade potential. I mean, Bryce Harper, obviously, forget what Dave Dombrowski said. I think he's poised for a monster year this year. They bring back JT Realmuto, Alec Boehm's there, Bryson Stott, Trey Turner, obviously, Brandon Marsh. Justin Crawford made the team. He's going to be their starting center fielder. And in right field, they have Adolis Garcia. And then, of course, Kyle Schwarber, who was their best player last year. In second place in this division, I have the record of 91 and 71 and getting the first wild card, the Atlanta Braves. I think the Braves are better than people think. I almost picked them to win the division, but I didn't because they don't have the depth that Philadelphia has, although they do have guys coming back from injury. Their offense is loaded, and that's why I have them over 90 wins. Drake Baldwin, a catcher. Matt Olson's a good first baseman. Austin Riley, Ozzy Albies, Mauricio Dubon will be playing short for them. Mike Yastrzemski at left. Michael Harris, a former Rookie of the Year in center. Ronald Acuna is coming back from injury. He's in right. And the cast of characters at DH. And they have depth pieces to acquire. They do. Maybe they'll bring back Corey Soler again. That'd be funny. And then Chris Sale on top of the rotation. He's rejuvenated himself since joining the Braves. Reynaldo Lopez is good. They got him from the White Sox. Spencer Strider's coming back from injury. So is Martin Perez. Spencer Schwellenbach, 60-day IL. That's a problem. But they also have trade potential to add to their rotation. Rafael Iglesias is one of the better closers in the game. Robert Suarez is a good reliever. They have Aaron Bummer they got in that White Sox trade too. So yeah, they have and Jose Suarez is there too. So their bullpen is not bad. Coming in third in the division, I have the record of 88 and 74, getting the second wild card in the National League. The New York Mets. The Mets really, after losing Pete Alonso, salvaged their offseason in a big way. Getting Freddie Peralta from Milwaukee, sticking him in the rotation. They go with Nolan McLean, Clay Holmes, David Peterson, and Cody Senga. They had Devin Williams to their bullpen and Luke Weaver. Of course, they get the go-to ex-Yankees. Then they have Sean Manaea in the pen. Yeah, their bullpen has to be improved, though. They can get, like, there's gettable guys, like some guys on the Cardinals that are going to be traded. The Rays are going to be trading people. But yeah, they'll upgrade at bullpen, and they might actually get a closer. Because I don't trust Devin Williams. And then, obviously, they get Bo Bichette to play third base. Francisco Alvarez they want him to be better. Jorge Polanco. That's a big loss for the Mariners, losing Jorge Polanco. By the way, they get Simeon to play second. He'll obviously replace Jeff McNeil, their longtime second baseman. And then, obviously, they get rid of Brandon Nimmo. And the reason why they did that is because they're very high on Carson Bench. And he better pan out. If Carson Bench doesn't pan out, then the Nimmo trade's a loss. That's what that trade comes down to for me. And then Luis Robert, I think, has a chance to have a bounce-back year with the Mets on a new team. And then Juan Soto, obviously, moves to left field. Brett Beatty's their DH. Coming in fourth in this division, I have the record of 65 and 97, the Miami Marlins. I think this team's going to take a big step back from last year. This team stinks. They have a lot of guys offensively that are not established, and that's why I have them in such a low win total. I mean, if they do get some stats, it's because they're going against bad Nationals pitching and last year bad Mets pitching and bad Braves pitching to some degree. And they play the Rockies and all these ass teams. But they do have some talent, but it hasn't panned out. Augustin Ramirez, Xavier Edwards, people are on. Chris Morel they got from the Cubs. Connor Norby. Kyle Stowers, highly touted prospect. Their rotation, though, is a good part of their team. That's why they're going to dodge 100 losses. But they have a lot of guys that are in the minors still, too. Like Braxton Garrett, they need to come up. Like Sandy Alcantara's back. I think that's a trade possibility. That is absolutely a that is absolutely a trade possibility. Yuri Perez, they like Max Meyer. Chris Paddock's had moments. He'll get dealt to. And in bullpen, Pete Fairbanks is their closer. He's going to get traded. Anthony Bender will probably be dealt. And whoever else emerges from this bullpen will get dealt. And in the cellar in this division, I have, with the record of 62-100, the Washington Nationals. The Nationals have one thing that the Marlins don't, and that's James Wood. But the difference between these two teams is that the Marlins' rotation, I think, can win them more games. And the Nationals don't have as good as a rotation as the Marlins. Sometimes it's better to have on a bad team to have a good rotation than one great player. And then obviously, like I said, James Wood is a stud. And they're relying on other guys to make a jump, like C.J. Abrams. Brady House got called up last year. Keibert Ruiz, they got in that Dodgers trade. Kate Savali, they're relying on to make a jump. Jake Irvin's a veteran. Maybe he gets dealt. Same with Miles Mikolas. Zach Little. And then the bullpen, the guy that I think is going to get dealt from this bullpen is probably Gus Varland. And then Clayton Beeter, maybe too. He was on the Yankees last year, but that didn't work out. All right, the NL Central, I have winning the division with the record of 98-64. The Chicago Cubs. I think this team is awesome. And I think they have the best chance to knock off the Dodgers. Cade Horton, Matt Boyd, Edward Cabrera they got from the Marlins. Shota Imanaka is really good. Jameson Taillon, that rounds their rotation. They're deep. Justin Steele's coming back from injury too. Like, they have a deep rotation. Jordan Wicks, that's like a lot of surplus for them. So, I mean, they're a team that can kind of avoid an injury. And they can stick somebody in. I mean, obviously the Yankees are going through that right now in the American League. I mean, and their rotation's deep because they have three guys that would be their starters on the injured list. Bullpen, Daniel Palencia is currently their closer. Phil Maton's not bad. Hunter Harvey's not bad. Colin Reyes not bad. And even some of these starters, I mean, Rhea obviously can start too. Jordan Wicks is a good reliever too. Offensively, though, they're really good. They bring in Alex Bregman, so he pretty much replaces Kyle Tucker offensively. Pete Crow Armstrong just got paid. Saya Suzuki is really good. Ian Happ, it's been trade rumors a long time, but not this year. Nico Horner, Michael Bush, Carson Kelly's their catcher. Moises Ballesteros is currently to be their DH. And by the way, Saya Suzuki hurt to start the year. So, right field's probably going to be Matt Shaw, who's not a bad fourth outfielder. So, yeah, this team's loaded. Coming in second in this division, I have, with a record of 84-78, the Milwaukee Brewers. The Brewers, I think, are taking a step back. I picked them to be good last year. 2 years ago, I whiffed. And I said, nope, I'm not falling for that again. And you could just slap me in the face if they're bad again. Or I'm sorry, if they're good again. They trade Willie Peralta, so their rotation's worse. Jacob Mizorowski was an all-star last year, but he fell off the face of the earth at the second half of the year. Brendan Woodruff used to be an ace. Kyle Harrison they got in that Red Sox trade. So their rotation's not as good as it used to be. Their bullpen's really good. Trevor McGill's their closer. Aaron Ashby's good. D.L. Hall's had moments. Easton McGee. And then offensively, their offense has a chance to be pretty good. Lynn Contreras is good. Andrew Vaughn. Obviously, that trade with the Red Sox, they weakened them at third base. Now, Luis Renfroe is now their third baseman, replacing Caleb Durbin. They have Garrett Mitchell in center. Jackson Churio, who they really like and left. Joey Ortiz at short. They got him in the trade. Sal Frelick and right. But this team has a chance to be a division winner. But I just don't think it's going to happen. Coming in third in the division, I have the record of 81-81. The Pittsburgh Pirates. I think the Pirates are going to actually be pretty good. Their rotation is very deep for the first time in a while. Bubba Chandler is going to be awesome for them. Paul Skeens is Paul Skeens. We know that. Braxton Ashcraft's not bad. Carmen Ledzinski's not bad. And obviously Mitch Keller, who's been in trade rumors for years, I actually think is going to be good this year. So those 5 is not bad. And Jose Urquidy's not bad. It's like a 6th guy. And Jared Jones is on the injured list. Like, they're deep in their rotation. And their bullpen's actually pretty good, too. They can use Ledzinski as a reliever. Greg Soto's not bad. Dennis Santana's their closer. But my questions for them are on offense. Henry Davis, obviously at catcher, that was their number 1 overall pick. Brandon Lau they got from the Rays. Nick Gonzalez, top draft pick at shortstop. Brian Reynolds is still there. He's in left field. O'Neal Cruz is in center. Marcelo Zuna they picked up to be their DH. And Ryan O'Hearn's not bad. He's in right. So this is actually a competent baseball team. But I think what can hold them back is they have other question marks offensively that I think could hold them back. Coming in 4th in the division, I have the record 78-84 to Cincinnati Reds. I think the Reds are going to take a little bit of a step back after making the playoffs last year. Hunter Green's on the 60-day IL, which is a problem. And he is starting to earn the 60-day IL, so we'll see when he comes back. Andrew Abbott's really good. Nick Lodolo, Brady Singer. This is a deep rotation. Their bullpen, I think, has guys that could get dealt. Emilio Pagan, Pierce Johnson, Tony Santillan, Graham Ashcraft, Caleb Ferguson. They're deep. Their bullpen's actually pretty deep for a bad team. Well, I don't think they're a good team. And I have questions for them offensively. Again, it's a lot of high draft picks. They're kind of like the Orioles, except the Orioles have Pete Alonso. And the other difference is that the Reds have a competent manager, and that probably should be worth a couple wins. If they had a worse manager, I wouldn't have them within the high 70s. They'd be low 70s if not for the manager. But yeah, Nathaniel Lau actually made the team because Hunter Green's hurt. Matt McLean, they're high on. Brian Hayes comes over from Pittsburgh. Ellie De La Cruz, I like at short. Spencer Spears has potential. Noel V. Marte, highly touted prospect. Emmanuel Suarez is good. He's their DH. But yeah, I have some questions offensively with the Reds. That's why I have them in 4th. And in the Celtics division, I have the record of 68-94, the St. Louis Cardinals. The Cardinals, I don't think they're the Cardinals anymore. They're rebuilding. I almost picked them to have 100 losses. I couldn't do that to this franchise. The rotation's not deep. They have names, but where's the production? Like, Michael McGreevy, they got in a trade. Same with Matthew Liberatore. Dustin May came over in a trade with the Dodgers. And I think they're going to have guys in their pen that are going to be traded, like Ryan Stanek and JoJo Romero, their closer. And their offense isn't the same. They got rid of Nolan Arenado and Wilson Contreras. J.J. Weatherholt made the team. He's exciting. Alec Burleson is their first baseman. Pedro Pages is their catcher. Mason Wynn, they like. Nolan Gorman, they like. Jordan Walker. They have guys that haven't really panned out yet, and that's why I have them in the cellar in their division. And the NL West, I have winning the division with the record of a whopping 110-52, the Los Angeles Dodgers. This is heads and shoulders the best team in baseball. head and shoulders over everybody else. The rotation's loaded. I know Blake Snell's out to start the year. That's another top two that you could argue is the best in baseball. I mean, earlier in the podcast I was talking about the American League, but this goes for everybody. They are obviously in the mix for top two with Snell and Yamamoto. Tyler Glasnow's good. Shohei Ohtani is a good pitcher, let alone great player. And Emmett Sheehan's slated to be the fifth guy right now. Their bullpen's loaded. Edwin Diaz, Tanner Scott, Blake Treinen, Jack Dreyer, Alex Vezia. And then, of course, their offense is the best thing about this team with Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Will Smith, who started over Cal Raleigh in the USA game. People were outraged over it. I wasn't really. And then obviously they added Kyle Tucker. So this team is absolutely loaded. In second place in this division, I have the record of 86-76 and winning the third wild card, the San Diego Padres. I think the Padres are very good. They have a good offense. Manny Machado, Xander Bogaerts, Fernando Tatis Jr., they had Nick Castellanos, Jackson Merrill's a good player, Jake Cronenworth, Gavin Sheets, a good catcher platoon with Luis Camposano, who I like better than Freddie Freeman. The rotation is okay. Walker Buehler made the team. Hernan Marquez, the former Rocky. At the back end, Randy Vasquez, I like Michael King's back. Nick Pivetta had a great year last year, but Joe Musgrove's hurt. That's a big loss. And their bullpen's really good, led by Mason Miller and Adrian Morejon. They're both awesome. Wandy Peralta's in this pen now. Coming in third in the division, I have the record of 78-84, the San Francisco Giants. I don't mind the Giants. I actually don't. And I know they have a chance to be worse than this, but this feels right for them. They have a really good top two in their rotation, Logan Webb and Robbie Ray. Adrian Hauser, I think, has a chance to have a good year. Tyler Mahle is a good depth guy. Their bullpen, Randy Rodriguez, their closers on the 60 down. That's a big loss for them. Ryan Walker's good. He's filling in. And then their offense, I think, is improved with Luis Arraez at second base. Rafael Devers is there a whole year. Patrick Bailey at catcher. Matt Chapman. Willie Adames. But yeah, their offense, I think, is why they're going to be in the high 70s. In fourth in the division, I have the record of 77-85, the Arizona Diamondbacks. I don't think the Diamondbacks are going to be good at all. They have a lot of injuries. Corbin Burns injured. Merrill Kelly injured. Zach Gallen was good a couple years ago, but he's not the same. Eduardo Rodriguez has been bad as a Diamondback. Brendan Pfaadt had moments, but he kind of fell off. They have injuries in their bullpen. And guys I think can get dealt too. Jonathan Loaizaga, I think, someone that's going to get traded in their bullpen. And their offense, outside of Ketel Marte and Geraldo Perdomo, I have a lot of question marks. I mean, Arenado, I think, can put up the numbers. Jordan Lauer, highly touted prospect, same with Alec Thomas. They need those guys and Pavin Smith to pull it together. Carlos Santana, I think, could be a trade guy. And obviously Corbin Carroll's a good player, too. In the cellar in this division, I have the record of 53-109, the Colorado Rockies. This team is fucking atrocious, man. Bet all their unders. Kyle Freeland's going to be traded. I don't like anybody in their bullpen. And I probably can't name a single player in their starting lineup. Mickey Moniak slated to be the DH, the former top overall pick from the Phillies from years ago. Chris Bryant's on the injured list. Willie Castro has played some games, and Ezekiel Tovar. But yeah, I blindly can't name anybody on this team. This team is so atrocious. I really don't want to even fucking talk about them. And they're one of the worst teams I've seen in a long time. And they're arguably worse than that White Sox team that was hideous 2 years ago. All right, so the playoffs. Wild card round. I have your American League 3 seed, the Toronto Blue Jays, against the American League wild card Boston Red Sox. Two AL East powerhouses. I think the difference there is the depth in the Blue Jays rotation versus the depth in the Red Sox rotation. I know the Red Sox could easily sweep with those two guys, but I think that Dylan Cease, Kevin Gausman, and Trey Savage can all match that. So I'm going to say the Blue Jays over the Red Sox in 3 games. All right, now I have battle of wild cards. American League wild card 1, the Seattle Mariners against American League wild card number 2, New York Yankees. I have the Yankees advancing over the Mariners because of the Yankees lineup against the Mariner lineup, which I think is weak and compared to the Yankees, and obviously they get Colin Rodon back by then, and Colin Fried having 2 of those, I think is a good thing. And if you don't win with one and they go Rodon against their number 3, and Rodon can easily match them. But I think it's a very close 3-game series win for the Yanks. National League 3 seed Philadelphia Phillies against National League wildcard number 3, the San Diego Padres. I think this is a Philly sweep because of Wheeler and Chris Sanchez against the Padres starters. And I think the Phillies have a better offense than the Padres too. And then the National League wildcard 1, the Atlanta Braves against the National League wildcard number 2, New York Mets. What it comes down to for me here is the bullpens. I think the Braves have a better bullpen, and I think they have more resources to acquire bullpen help than the Mets. So I'm going to say the Braves over the Mets in 3 games. The divisional round. The American League 1 seed Texas Rangers against the American League wildcard New York Yankees. I'm going with the Rangers over the Yankees in 4 because Texas's bullpen, I think, is deeper than New York's. And I think that they have a deeper lineup than the Yankees as well. And then the American League 2 seed Detroit Tigers against the American League 3 seed Toronto Blue Jays. Classic series, obviously. Difference is that they have Skubal and the Jays don't. So the Tigers over the Blue Jays in 5. And then the National League 1 seed Los Angeles Dodgers against the National League wildcard number 1, the Atlanta Braves. The Braves can absolutely take this to 5. I don't think they can win it. But the Dodgers, I think, are deeper in their rotation. And they have a deeper bench lineup. So I think that's a difference. I'm going to say Atlanta competitive, but Dodgers in 4 over the Braves. National League 2 seed Chicago Cubs against National League 3 seed Philadelphia Phillies. Good series, for sure. I think the difference here is that the Cubs have a deeper rotation than the Phillies. So I'm going with the Cubs over the Phillies in 4 games. League Championship Series. American League 1 seed Texas Rangers against American League 2 seed Toronto Blue Jays. Detroit Tigers. Again, best pitcher in the series is Tarik Skubal. And he's the most important player in this series too. I know DeGrom can match him. I know Eovaldi can match him. But they also have Valdez to throw against them. What if Justin Verlander is rejuvenated in the playoffs? Just saying. Detroit Steve. Detroit over Texas in 6 games. And the National League 1 seed Los Angeles Dodgers against the National League 2 seed Chicago Cubs. I think this is going to be a great series. I think the Cubs can go toe-to-toe here, especially on the pitching department. But I think the Dodgers have a deeper lineup than the Cubs. That's where the difference is. So with the Dodgers over the Cubs in 6 games. And then the World Series, you have the National League 1 seed Los Angeles Dodgers against the American League 2 seed Detroit Tigers. I think this is a bloodbath series. I think that there's a lot of variables here of why I'm picking this as the result. I love Edwin Diaz. I love that pickup for the Dodgers. He tends to melt down in big spots like this. I think that's why the Mets kind of said sayonara. But the guy they picked up also melts down in guys like this. And I think that Detroit can upgrade their bullpen. Detroit's lineup's really good, and it's just as good as the Dodgers is. And same with their rotation. And I do think the 1-2 punch of Skubal and Valdez can get it done for the Tigers. So I'm going to pick the Detroit Tigers to win the 2026 World Series over the Dodgers in 7 games. And 3, Skubal will be your World Series MVP. All right, awards. American League MVP, I'm going with the guy I go with every year. It's sacrilegious if I don't pick Aaron Judge to win the AL MVP because it's Aaron Judge and he's my favorite player on my favorite team. And actually, no, that you could take away the favorite player of my favorite team. But it's his award to lose every year as long as he's healthy. And just like the guy I'm picking for the National League MVP, Shohei Ohtani, it's sacrilegious not to pick Shohei Ohtani for NL MVP. I think Aaron Judge has become the Ohtani of the American League, except he can't pitch. And Ohtani is the National League's version of Judge, except he can't play defense. So, of course, Judge and Ohtani are my MVP picks. I mean, if you don't pick those players to win MVP, then you're out of your mind. Unless you predict somebody gets injured. And both of them get injured a lot. But Aaron Judge got hurt last year and still an MVP. Runners up for the awards. American League runner-up Vlad Guerrero Jr. of the Blue Jays and Bryce Harper of the Phillies. AL Cy Young, I'm going with Garrett Crochet of the Boston Red Sox. I think he's going to have a really good year, too. In Boston, he had a really good year 1. And I think he's going to repeat and actually win it this time. Because I think that there's going to be voter fatigue with my runner-up, Tariq Skubal. Nationally, Cy Young, I'm going with Paul Skeens of the Pirates. Best pitcher in baseball. Sacrilegious not to pick him. I mean, you could say that about Skubal, too. But Skeens just stands out in front of everybody else, and I think Skubal has more competition in the American League with Crochet and now Garrett Cole coming back than Skeens does in the National League. And my runner-up in the National League, I'm going with Yoshinobu Yamamoto. The American League Rookie of the Year, I'm going with Kevin McGonigal of the Detroit Tigers, who made the opening day roster, which is exciting. He's going to be their starting shortstop. So Javier Baez is probably just a bench guy at this point. Or maybe they'll play him in center field. Or in right field or something like that. And then my runner-up is Colt Emerson of the Seattle Mariners. Solid young shortstop. National League Rookie of the Year, I'm going with Nolan McLean of the New York Mets. I think he's electric. And you saw him pitch for Team USA in the World Baseball Classic, and he lived up to the profile. And my runner-up is his teammate Carson Bench of the New York Mets. American League Manager of the Year, I'm going with Skip Shoemaker of the Texas Rangers. I think Shoemaker got a raw deal with the Marlins, and now he's going to be managing a good Rangers team that I think can win the World Series if all goes right. And the runner-up, I'm going with A.J. Hinch of the Tigers, who I have winning the World Series. National League Manager of the Year, I'm going with Walt Weiss of the Atlanta Braves. I think the Braves are back as a contender, and I think they'll come close to winning that division. And my runner-up, I'm going with Craig Counsell of the Chicago Cubs, because I think they're going to blow everybody out in that division. American League Comeback Player of the Year, I'm going with Garrett Cole of the New York Yankees, of course. He's going to reestablish himself as the ace of that staff. And my runner-up is Max Scherzer of the Blue Jays, who I think will have a very good year in that rotation. National League Comeback Player of the Year, Ronald Acuna Jr. of the Braves, who was having a good year last year until he got hurt, and he's going to come back and reestablish himself as a top 5 player in all the sport, and could arguably be the third best guy in the league behind Ohtani and Judge. And my runner-up is Luis Robert of the New York Mets, who I think will have his best season in a long time and could end up having the best year of his career. The Mariano Rivera Award, I'm going with Carlos Estevez, the closer on the Kansas City Royals. I think he's going to have a solid year. I don't have them in the postseason, but I have them as the best team not to make the playoffs. There's that team every year, and I think it's them. And my runner-up is Jared Bednar, the closer of the New York Yankees. The Trevor Hoffman Award, I'm going with Mason Miller of the San Diego Padres. I think he'll prove to be a great trade ad for them. And my runner-up is Edwin Diaz of the Dodgers, of course. Okay. So, bold predictions for every team. I was going to break this up into 2 podcasts, but I'm not. I have one bold prediction for every team. And I love looking back at this the next year or at the end of the season and be like, oh, wow, I called it. Because my track record is hit or miss with this. Okay, the Arizona Diamondbacks, I'm going to say that Lourdes Gurriel Jr. gets traded to the Kansas City Royals. They can use outfield upgrade. I don't think the Diamondbacks are going to be good. And that's a veteran that I think can help a winning team. The Athletics, I'm going to say that they're over 500 at the All-Star break. I have them finishing at 78 wins. But maybe they're like 50 and 48 at the All-Star break or something like that. Like maybe like 2 games over 500. That counts as for the prediction. But not big time over 500, but barely over 500. But still over 500. The Atlanta Braves, I'm going to say they acquired Dustin May from the St. Louis Cardinals. They need help in the back of their rotation with guys being injured. Baltimore Orioles, I'm going to say Jackson Holliday makes the All-Star team. I think it's time for him to prove to the Orioles why he was worthy of the number 1 overall pick. Blaze Alexander is their second baseman over him, which is ridiculous. And I know shortstop's being blocked by Gunnar Henderson. I get it. But explain to me why Blaze Alexander is their second baseman. It should be Jackson Holliday. And I think eventually he'll take that spot and run. The Boston Red Sox, I think Aroldis Chapman will have a career high in blown saves. He had the year of his life last year with the Red Sox. He had his best season since his first Yankees season. But he's old. He's in his high 30s. And I think there's a chance that he gets removed from the closer position for Garrett Whitlock. The Chicago Cubs, Pete Crow Armstrong, top 5 in MVP voting. I think the Cubs believe in that because they just paid him. And I had that written down before he got paid. Chicago White Sox, Eric Feed gets traded to the New York Mets. I think that the Mets can use some depth in their rotation. Cody Senga, David Peterson. I mean, who knows? Maybe they move Clay Holmes back to the bullpen. The Cincinnati Reds. Hunter Green throws a no-hitter. I know him starting on the 60-day doesn't help. But not ideal that he's starting on the 60-day. Maybe he doesn't. The Cleveland Guardians. Stephen Kwan traded to the Blue Jays. Blue Jays can use some help in the outfield. There's guys on that team I don't trust. They have big hits and big moments. Nathan Lukes. Addison Berger, who's allergic to defense, who we saw drop that pop-up, and it wasn't for that, they sweep the Yankees. So, yeah, they can use some outfield upgrade. But they can also move. They could stick Quan in right and move Addison Berger to third base. If they were to do that. Colorado Rockies will trade Kyle Freeland to the Milwaukee Brewers. I don't think the Brewers' rotation's as good without Freddie Peralta, so I think that Kyle Freeland in there works. Detroit Tigers, I'm going to say Justin Verlander has an ERA under 3.5. I think he's going to be motivated playing with his whole team for the last moments of his career. The Houston Astros will be under 500 for the first time in a long time. I just think this team is headed for a rebuild. They're kind of like the Cardinals of the American League in this regard. And speaking of the Cardinals, I have the Royals acquiring a former Cardinal, current Washington National, Miles Mikolas, to be on the back end of their rotation. And he would be an upgrade over like Noah Cameron in that rotation. Los Angeles Angels, I have them trading away Mike Trout to the Philadelphia Phillies. And the Phillies will have a rock star lineup with Trout in it, as they'll put him in either center or right field. Maybe Justin Crawford's in the trade. or they get him for right field. They keep Justin Crawford, trade everybody else, maybe Painter's in the deal. And then Adolis Garcia could just be a bench guy at this point. So, yeah, there's ways for this to work. Los Angeles Dodgers. Shohei Ohtani has another 50-50 season plus an ERA under 3. I think he's just going to be a monster this year. He'll even get Cy Young votes. The Miami Marlins will trade Pete Fairbanks to the Detroit Tigers. And Pete Fairbanks will become their closer. The Milwaukee Brewers. Christian Yelich has his best season since 2019. I really think that he's poised for a big year. He showed flashes last year, and then he was an all-star 2 years ago before he got hurt. The Minnesota Twins. Byron Buxton will be traded to the Baltimore Orioles. I know this is a crazy prediction. This is a crazy pill specific. Just like the Mike Trout to the Philadelphia Phillies prediction. But Colton Cowser really hasn't been healthy. Maybe they include him in the trade. Maybe Blaze Alexander's in the trade. I could totally see Cowser and Blaze Alexander going to the Twins with a couple other pieces to get Buxton into Baltimore. The New York Mets. Nolan McLean will solidify himself as the Mets' ace pitcher. Freddie Peralta I like, but I just don't think he's an ace. I know he was awesome last year, and he was really good 2 years ago. Or it might have been 3 years ago. He was really good on Milwaukee. But I look at him more as a number 2 starter. But I didn't mind that for the Mets because of how high I am on McLean. I think McLean is the ace of that staff, not Freddie Peralta. He's better than Freddie Peralta. And like I said, we saw him pitch on Team USA, and he was awesome. And I think, is going to make the All-Star team too, Nolan McLean. New York Yankees. I mentioned Garrett Cole, comeback player of the year earlier. I think he's going to finish top 5 in the American League Cy Young. I think he's going to have an awesome year. And I think people are going to be reminded, oh yeah, he's the best pitcher on the Yankees, not Max Fried. That's no disrespect to Max Fried. I think Max Fried's good, but Garrett Cole's better. Philadelphia Phillies. Bryce Harper will have his best season as a Philly. And therefore, he'll come close to unseating Shohei Ohtani for MVP. But last year, 261, 32 homers. But I think he's going to... His career high in home runs is 42. Or no, wait. 42 with the Nats. He'll have a career high in homers. He'll certainly have his best home run total as a Phil. His best for home runs that year was in 21. That was COVID. That's his career high in doubles. He had 30 bombs in 24. Yeah, but he did win MVP with the Phillies in 21. But I think he's going to come in second next year. Or this year. Behind Ohtani. Pittsburgh Pirates. I think they'll have multiple All-Stars. And that'll be Paul Skeens and O'Neal Cruz. I think most people just say it's just going to be Skeens. The San Diego Padres will acquire Sandy Alcantara from the Miami Marlins. I think they need a top of the rotation guy. Joe Musgrove's hurt. I don't think that Michael King is an ace. He showed ace potential with the Yankees. But I don't think he is an ace. And like I said, Musgrove's nowhere close to coming back. So Sandy Alcantara to the Padres makes a lot of sense. The San Francisco Giants. I'm going to predict Logan Webb finishes top 5 for NL Cy Young. I do think that he's going to have his best year yet. like I said, he was on Team USA, and I think that motivation will go into the season. The St. Louis Cardinals, Ryan Stanek, I think, will be a near. I don't know if he'll make the All-Star team as a reliever, but will come close. He'll have an ERA like 3.2. He'll have some moments, which will get himself traded to the New York Yankees, as the Yankees need some bullpen depth, and I think that'd be a good ad for them. And he'll be better for the Yankees than he was with the Mets. And he'll be better for the Cardinals than he was with the Mets. The Seattle Mariners, Cal Raleigh will hit less than 30 home runs. Yeah. I think he's regressing big time. Maybe he gets hurt. I just don't see him being this monster again. I think Julio, I'll take it this far. There'll be two guys on the Mariners that'll hit more home runs than Cal Raleigh this year. Julio Rodriguez and Randy Arozarena. Tampa Bay Rays. Yandy Diaz will be traded to the Seattle Mariners. I think that, like I said, Seattle, I think, has a lot of holes in their lineup. And I think Yandy Diaz as their DH would be absolutely perfect. And they'll miss Jorge Polanco. Texas Rangers. Jacob deGrom will be an American League Cy Young finalist. Like I said, I think he's poised for a big season. And the finalists are obviously going to be him, Skubal, and Garrett Crochet. Fourth in the Cy Young, I'm going to say, that's a good one. Fourth in the Cy Young in the American League. Maybe Cole Reagans of the Royals? It's going to be somebody like that. Like somebody that we kind of forgot about. And then obviously Garrett Cole. And then the Toronto Blue Jays will acquire Nolan Arenado from the Arizona Diamondbacks. And he'll be their third baseman. And the Washington Nationals, James Wood will have a 40-30 season. 40 home runs and 30 stolen bases. I think this kid's special. And they're lucky that he's their new franchise guy. Okay. Now the betting stuff. Okay, now the betting for the season. Okay. Value with the futures. So, the World Series. I'm going to give you the odds that 20-1 and higher or lower. Dodgers are 2-1. The Yankees are 10-1. The Mariners are 12-1. The Mets are 13-1. The Phillies and the Red Sox are 16-1 each. The Blue Jays are 17-1. The Cubs are 18-1. And the O's and the Braves are 20-1. That it's a drop off. The team I picked to win it all is 22-1. The Detroit Tigers. The Texas Rangers, who I like this year, they're 25-1. I think as like a longer shot. I mean, what if Pittsburgh's good? With Skeens and Bobba Chandler emerges as their number 2. Mitch Keller, they're 60-1. That's not bad either. So those would be the ones I would flirt around with. The exact result. Tigers over the Dodgers. That's 65-1. That's actually pretty good. I like the exact result one. What about a triple digit one with the like crazy pills? What are the Rangers over the Mets? Or the Rangers over the Braves? 225-1 and then 125-1. And the Rangers beat the Phillies is 175-1. A lot of these are crazy pills ones. Name the finalists. Tigers Dodgers is 20-1. Dodgers Rangers is 22-1. What about Yankees Cubs? That's probably what, like 15 to 1. Yeah, that's 50 to 1. That's not bad. What about Padres Rangers? 200 to 1. That is funny. State of the winner. New York is plus 550. Texas is a good one. 13-1. That's you're betting on the Rangers. 17 to 1's good. That's the Cubs. If the Reds and the Guardians aren't bad, maybe 30 to 1 for Ohio. Winning division. AL East plus 320 is pretty good because there's 3 teams I think can win it in that division. AL Central 11 to 1. You're betting on the Tigers. That's actually pretty good. League winners. 10 to 1 and shorter. Yankees are plus 450. The Mariners are 5 to 1. Toronto and the Red Sox are 7 to 1. Detroit's 9 to 1. So is Baltimore. Houston's 10, and so is Texas. Texas at 10 to 1's value. National League. Dodgers plus 110. The Mets are 7 to 1. The Phillies are 8 to 1. The Cubs are plus 950. And it drops off. I think the Padres at 18 to 1's a good one. Divisions. Yankees plus 170. Red Sox plus 280. Jays plus 310. Orioles plus 420. And the Rays are 20 to 1. At least. I think the Jays right over 3 to 1 is the best one on the board. AL Central. Detroit plus 115. KC plus 210. Guardians plus 440. Twins plus 900. White Sox 22 to 1. The Royals at plus 210, I think, is the most value. Oh, Guardians plus 440 is pretty good, too. If you think they're going to be good. The ALS, the Mariners are minus 105, which is absurd. Houston's plus 270. Texas is plus 330. A's are 12 to 1. Angels 27 to 1. If the A's had better pitching, that 12 to 1 would have been enticing. But it would have probably been 8 to 1. But I like Texas plus 330. NL East. Mets plus 130. Phillies plus 175. Braves plus 280. Marlins 27 to 1. That's 75 to 1. Braves at plus 280 is my favorite in terms of value, although the Phillies plus 175 is pretty good. NL Central, the Cubs plus 110, the Brewers plus 230, the Reds are 5 to 1, the Pirates are plus 550, Cards are 30 to 1. Getting the Cubs at something at plus money, I think, is free money. But I think the Pirates plus 550 is pretty good too. NL West, Dodgers minus 700, Padres plus 950, Giants 17 to 1, D-backs 22 to 1, Rockies 30 to 1. I like the Padres plus 950 as like a value play, especially if they get Sandy Alcantara. Maybe they get him in May. Like, what if Blake Snell's not back yet, and maybe there's some other Dodger injuries? Tatis monster year, Bogart's monster year, and maybe they get Alcantara and jump on that. Like, you never know. Win totals. The Athletics, 75.5. I'd go over minus 110. D-backs, 77.5. Or 78.5. Under, even money. Braves, 86.5. Whoa, over. Orioles, 85.5. Under. Minus 108. Red Sox, 87.5. Over, minus 118, but it's a barely over. Cubs, 88.5. Over, minus 118. That's one of my favorite ones. White Sox, 67.5. Under, minus 112. Reds, 80.5 wins. Under, minus 114. Like, I don't think they're going to have a winning record. The Guardians, 78.5. Under. 55.5 for the Rockies. Under. God, they're going to be so bad. Minus 108. Tigers, 85.5. Over, minus 118. I like that one. Astros, 85.5. Under, minus 114. Royals, over 82.5. Minus 112. Angels, under 70.5, minus 120. That's juiced. Dodgers, 103.5. Over, minus 110. Marlins, 72.5. under -105. Brewers 84.5. Ooh, that's where I have them 84. So slight under -104. 72.5 for the Minnesota Twins under -105. Mets 90.5 over -150. No, wait, I have them under. Yeah, under 90.5 -105. Yankees 90.5 over -115. So the two New York teams have the same over under. Oh wait, no, I don't have the Yankees over. They're under, slight under. Never mind. I thought I had them 92 wins. I have them 90 wins. So under for the Yankees too, but barely. Phillies 89.5 over -106. Pirates 78.5 over -115. Padres 83.5 over -118. Giants 80.5 under -105. Mariners 90.5 under -110. So I have the same one as the Yankees. Cardinals 69.5. Wow, I'm surprised it's that low. But it's a barely under -106. Rays 76.5 under -118. Rangers 83.5 over -106. Blue Jays 87.5 over -110. And the Nationals 64.5 under minus or even money. So my favorite one of the over-unders is probably the Padres over. That was 83.5. I think they're better than that. And I love the Cubs over 88.5. That's probably my favorite one. In that division. The AL East, I think, is spot on. I like the Blue Jay over and the Rays under the most in that division. All right, awards. American League MVP. I'm going to do anybody under 10 to... We'll do 20 to 1 is like the highest we'll go. Aaron Judge is plus 185. It shows you how good he is. Bobby Witt Jr. plus 450. Cal Raleigh is 7 to 1. Julio Rodriguez is 12 to 1. Nick Kurtz is 15 to 1. Vlad Guerrero Jr. Jose Ramirez is 16 to 1. Gunnar Henderson 17 to 1. Roman Anthony's 20 to 1, and it drops. Julio Rodriguez 12 to 1 is my favorite on the board. Actually, no. Vlad Guerrero Jr. Jays win the East. Judge gets hurt. That's a good one. I like that. And then on the longer odds, I like Corey Seager at 30 to 1. Skubal at 40 is actually not bad. Anybody I like in the hundreds. Randy Arozarena is 125 to 1. That's one of the hundreds that I don't mind. Same as Spencer Torkelson, 150 to 1. And anybody in the 200s, Sal Perez, 225 to 1. National League MVP, Shohei Ohtani is minus 140. That's why I said it's sacrilegious if you don't pick him rare Aaron Judge to an MVP. Juan Soto is 7 to 1. Ronald Acuna is 11 to 1. Tatis is 19 to 1. Then it drops. Kyle Schwarber is 30 to 1. And Bryce Harper is 35 to 1. Paul Skeens is 35 to 1. If you think the Brewers are going to be good, Jackson Chourio and William Contreras are each 50 to 1. My boy James Woods 50 to 1. Pete Crow Armstrong is 50 to 1. That's probably my favorite one on the board. American League Cy Young, Therese Skubal plus 240. Garrett Crochet is plus 350. Cole Reagans and Hunter Brown are each 12 to 1. Max Fried is 13 to 1. Jacob deGrom is 14 to 1. And all those Mariner guys are bunched in together. Brian Wu 17. Logan Gilbert's 18 with Framber Valdez. And then George Kirby is 20 to 1. Then it drops. My favorite long shot is 100 to 1. He's coming off an injury. His name is Garrett Cole. I'm surprised that he's 100 to 1, but Carlos Rodon is 70 to 1, and Cam Schlittler's 55. Give me a break, Cam Schlittler. He had one great game. Nathan Eovaldi, 45 to 1, I like too. But of the teens, I like DeGrom the most at 14 to 1. National League Cy Young. The favorite is Paul Skeens at plus 240. Yoshi Yamamoto is 5 to 1. Chris Sanchez is plus 650. Chris Sale's 9 to 1. And at 18 to 1 is Logan Webb and Zach Wheeler. My favorite long shot on the board is Nolan McLean at 50 to 1. And if Sandy Alcantara gets moved to a new team, 50 to 1's not bad for him either. If he's on the Padres and is awesome. That's a really good one as well. And of like the teens in the 20s, I like Zach Wheeler at 18 the most. American League Rookie of the Year. My boy Kevin McGonigal is the favorite at 4 to 1. Kazuma Okamoto is plus 450. Carter Jensen is 6 to 1. Trey Savage is plus 950. Munetaka Muramaki is plus 950. Samuel Basallo of the Orioles 11 to 1. Chase DeLauder of the Guardians is 14 to 1. Connor Lee Early of the Red Sox is 15 to 1. Tatsuya Amai is 16 to 1. Then it drops. My runner-up for the AL Rookie of the Year was Colt Emerson of the Mariners. He's 30 to 1. That's actually pretty good. Spencer Jones is 50 to 1 of the Yankees in case he gets called up. Carlos LaGrange is 50 to 1 also. And there's going to be random guys that emerge after the first week of the season. Like, oh, how about this guy? Carson Williams is a good one for the Rays at 25 to 1 as well. National League Rookie of the Year, Nolan McLean's the favorite, plus 280, and rightfully so. Connor Griffin is 4 to 1. JJ Weatherholt is plus 550. Sal Stewart is 7 to 1. Then it's a drop off. I like Bubba Chandler at 21. That's a good one. Justin Crawford 22 to 1 is pretty good. Moises Ballesteros of the Cubs 25 to 1 is good also. Yeah, there's a couple guys I like, but McLean I think is the rightful favorite. That's good. American League Manager of the Year. The favorite is Dan Wilson plus 650. Craig Albornoz is 7 to 1. Skip Shoemaker is 8 to 1. Alex Cora is 9 to 1. So is John Schneider. Plus 950 is Matt Cartaro, Joe Espada, and AJ Hinch. Of the long shot ones, Mark Kotze of 13 to 1 for the Athletics I think is a good one. So is Kevin Cash at 18 to 1 in case they overachieve. But my pick was Shoemaker at 8 to 1. National League Manager of the Year. Don Kelly, Walt Weiss, Carlos Mendoza, and Terry Francona are all plus 750. Dave Roberts is 8 to 1. I don't know why he's there. He shouldn't be. He should be like 11 to 1 like Aaron Boone is on the American League side. Rob Thompson, Craig Counsell, and Craig Stammen are plus 850 each. And Tony Vitello is plus 950. Of the double-digit ones, I think that probably Torey Lovullo of Arizona 12 to 1 in case they overachieve. But Miami wasn't that bad last year. Clayton McCullough is 11 to 1. And then they have award parlays. But it's like teammates, though. Like Soto and McLean for MVP and Rookie of the Year. And Witt and Carter Jansen. And Judge and Spencer Jones. And things like that. Lindor and McLean. Playoff, make and miss. My favorite one for miss on the board is I don't like any of the plus money ones for the misses because I have all those teams in, which sucks. But maybe the Mariners at plus 215 if Texas wins that division and they just fall flat on their face. And maybe the Orioles are better than them. But Texas to make it, plus 118, I like. Padres to make it, plus 108. I like the make ones better than the miss ones. Milwaukee to miss, minus 110. Houston to miss, minus 113. And obviously, they have the buys. Texas to earn the bye. What is that? That's what I have. 5 to 1. That's pretty good. But it's funny, they have the Yankees favored in the American League, but they have Seattle as the favorite for the bye. I think that's because of the AL. The AL East is better than the AL West. That's probably what it is. The trade for the 1 seed is plus 340, but I like Texas 5 to 1 for the 1 seed. That's a good one. And I think the value in the National League side is the Braves at plus 490. Because if it's not the Dodgers, then I mean, who could it be? I think that's a good number for it. And the Cubs are plus 310. That's not bad either. And then the alternate win totals. Oh, God. But it's overs. It's not unders, unfortunately. I wish I had alternate unders. Because it would be like alternate Cardinals under, alternate Rockies under. Alternate Cubs over 90 plus is even money. I like that. Alternate, I mean, Padres were 90 plus 210. That's pretty good. Braves 90 plus is plus 146. Yeah, I don't like any of these alternate ones. Oh, Texas alternate 90. I want to see Texas alternate 100 too. Texas alternate plus 90, 90 plus 25. 100 plus is plus 1040. I like both of those for Texas. I think that those are the ones I would go with if I went with any alternate win totals. All right, so there you have it for the baseball preview and predictions podcast for 2026. And we'll look back at it at the end of the year and see how I did.